Luise, Luise, hey, Luise, es ist wieder Zeit. Es ist Zeit für Distressable Junkolosities.
Wer stört?
Es ist wieder Zeit für Distressable Junkolosities. Ich dachte, wir starten unser nächstes Projekt jetzt
Ja, aber
bald.
ich distresse doch hier schon die ganze Zeit. Was hast du denn? Was willst du denn noch mehr? Was willst du denn noch mehr? Guck.
Ja, ich dachte, wir machen vielleicht noch was anderes.
Was anderes. Ja, pass auf. Ich hatte da neulich mal was gelesen. Auf Seite 22. Seite 22, da ist sowas Cooles. Guck mal.
Ja, ich glaube, das ist ganz gut, ne?
Ja.
Dann lass mal loslegen, oder?
Ja, bist du bereit?
Ja klar, machen wir. Warum nicht?
Ja, also, los. Worauf warten wir denn noch?
Welcome to Distressable Junkolosities. Transform your found objects into junk journal art. Junkolosities is a coined term combining junk journal and curiosities, created by Nicole at Nature Spirit Journals and myself, Luise Heinzl. Just dig out all those forgotten curious findings from your drawers, the ones you've kept to use in your junk journal one day. We are celebrating 20 years of distress this year and invite you to celebrate, craft, and most importantly, distress along with us. What I really like about the project Nicole and I have chosen for today's episode of Distressable Junkolosities is that it is obviously really versatile. As you can see, it has a shaker element here on the front, and there's a back cover as well. We can't see what's on the other side, but that doesn't matter. We make our own thing from this today. And it has this like folded accordion thing in the middle, which you can fill with different things, as you can see here in Tim's book, Distressables 2. And he has other examples here, where you can see what you also could do with such a little booklet. This one, for example, as you can see, is Christmas themed. I really like this idea of having something where you can, for example, put some coupons or something in as a gift for someone else, or some tags that you've created, or cards, or whatever you want. I really like this idea. And this one here, this is obviously at the movies. This brought me such a good laugh, because when I flipped through the book to decide which project we want to do next, I saw this, and then I said to Nicole, look, here's some corn in it. And I said, why is here corn? Until I realized that this is because of popcorn, you know, what you eat at the cinema. That was so funny. But of course you can put some things in here, also unusual things, that then make this shakety shake thing. And I think this is just genius. It's just such a cool idea. Here's another example. And this little boy here brought me to the idea that I want to use some photos for this project. But of course you can choose any other theme that you like. I have some really cool junkolosities here on my desk, and that means I have taken out some of my photos from my collection. So these are original photos. Some of them are also postcards. You could also take the photos from the Ideology line by Tim Holtz, or what you also could of course do is take some original photos of yourself. Or if you also don't have that, take a look at the info box down below this video. I have linked some digital items for you down below from my own shop, so that you, if you want, and if you don't have these kind of original things, also take a digital paper, of course, and print photos out and then use those. I have listed everything where I thought that could match this project that I have available in my shop. And I also found both of these here in my stash. And this is, for me, a real junkolosity, because this is really old. I have this forever. These are some pages, even if they are really thick, from a vintage photo album. And you have these little windows here. And originally it's meant to put the photos in here. This is obviously too big, so that you can then later on see the photo in here. And I thought, why don't we use this as the cover pieces for this little booklet? So what I want to do is, I want to take this out here. I'm just doing that with my fingernail. If you don't have something like this, you could alternatively also, of course, take something thicker and cut yourself such a window. I'm a little nervous because I already recorded my German video and there happened a ton of strange things, a ton of fails, and I'm really hoping that I can manage to create this in this video better than in my German video. But of course, I will also tell you my mistakes so that you can do it better than I did it in the German video. You don't have to make the same mistakes like I did. You can choose your own mistakes and then make them. But let's see how this goes. First, I want to take out these things here because I want to have a really big window in here. And when I look at this, I can see the first problem of this whole thing, because here obviously it's loose because there the photo could slide in, but I can also see that a lot of this paper comes off, but that is good. We can use that as a little nice addition to the effects we want to create. This here I remove completely because I can then later on use this beautiful writing for something else. Next I take some gel medium. This is by Liquitex. You could also alternatively take some collage medium. The only reason why I don't do that is that my collage medium is empty and I have forgotten to order a new bottle. And with this paintbrush I go here into these areas which are still loose, and I also go over the whole thing here. I want to soak this lighter paper with this gel medium for doing a little trick in a second. And now I dry this, but not completely. I want that the surface is dry, but you know, that it is a little bit, still a little bit wet. That way the surface here is dry, but the paper itself is a little bit, still a little bit wet. And when you now take a sandpaper and go over this, you can get really cool effects because, yeah, it's like getting a really nice connection between these materials. And sometimes, depending on how wet this is, you can get a nice and nearly translucent look of this paper here, this lighter paper, like here for example. Can you see this? Now it looks not like torn off, but it has a really nice bridge here somehow. I don't know how I can say that in English. Next, I want to take some Ideology collage paper. This is typeset, and I really like this paper, and you can get a really cool effect by gluing this onto your frame. Collage paper is translucent, and with that we will see this nice variation in the color of this layer here, I mean, that comes with having these different papers. And I take these pieces, which are by accident, or not accident, coincidence. Accident, it's not an accident. I'm so afraid that I have some fails in this video as well, that I already call a coincidence an accident. Holy moly. So by coincidence these papers have the right height here for my cover pieces. If you don't have collage paper, you could alternatively use some tissue paper, for example. You could stamp to that paper and then you could do the same thing here. So I have dried this with my heat tool, and let's now take a coffee and our sandpaper again, so that we now can here remove what is too much here. And you know, sandpaper and coffee, that is contrast, meaning we need a little balance, you know, when we go in here with such an aggressive paper, we need some balance with coffee. And I also need that because I know how much went wrong in my other video. So if you go over this, you can not only really easily remove what is too much here, but at the same time you get a really nice edge here. And depending on how aggressive you work with this aggressive paper, you can get really nice distress effects as well. I like to, yeah, here for example, can you see here the paper has come off like completely in this little spot here. I really like that. And especially because we had the different colors on this original piece here, this lighter area and this grayish darker area gives a really cool effect under the collage paper, because this is translucent, and then you can see this cool variation here, and that makes it even more interesting, I think. And when we talk about distressing, and especially inking to make a distressed effect, I think the most people first think about colors like brown or beige or gray or something neutral. But with these junkolosities, I thought, why don't we go into another direction color-wise? So I thought I want to distress my next piece, which goes on top here, but in purple. Because look, we have this purple thing here, and I thought we can perhaps try that. But for doing that, it is really, really, really essentially important that we take our trash can and put that to our table first. Otherwise, this technique can't work. So let me quickly do that. And of course, there are different kinds of trash cans in our craft rooms. So this is my very special trash can. I store some empty Ideology and other Tim Holtz packages in here, because this material is just great for what I want to do, and not only for that but also for other things. So I want to choose some of these packages, and now my frames are under my basket here. I want to choose some packages which are the right size for another frame I want to put on top of this. We could even take these. This is a Ranger packaging, obviously. Oh yes, perhaps. Perhaps we can. Let's try it with these, even if the Ideology packages would also work really well, of course. But these have the advantage that they, I'm so sorry, that they are already really thick. The Ideology packages would also work, but then if I would have used those, I would take two and glue them together so that they get a little more sturdy, because for the next thing I want to do, it's important that this is sturdy. I don't want to have a flimsy frame here. So what I'm trying to find out is how big I want to have the frame that shall go around here. Just like this. Then I hold it like so. Turn it around without moving it, and I take a pen, just go around here like this. But now I want to cut a window out here which is smaller than these marks I have just made, so that the frame gets a little wider than it would be if I would cut along the red lines here. And if you have a sewing machine, perhaps you want to try out sewing around either this inner frame, or you could also, of course, sew around the outer frame. And then let's use the advantages of this material from the packaging for our next technique. That's also why I always, and there's no exception, save the packages from these products, Ranger products and Ideology products. Everything that has, I mean, there are other products as well with these kind of packages, but everything that has this glossy surface and a nice color already. And I mean, you know, look, this already looks really cool, yeah? If you don't look closer, you could think we have put a lot of effort into creating this kind of dirt here. And the advantage is, let's take the aggressive paper again and go over this here. And I do this on purpose after sewing, because when I do this now, I automatically destroy my sewing here. And that is what makes it even more vintage. It makes it, yeah, more authentic. I mean, yeah, and it is really easy. And now I go over this to reveal the next layer of this material here and to get some scratches here. So let's see how this looks on here. I think you could leave this exactly like it is and it would be a really, really interesting piece. I especially like that we can still see that this was a packaging. Really cool. I really like to do these things, but as I told you, I want to do something in purple for a next technique, how you could go even further on this second frame here. I thought we are celebrating 20 years of distress, and I thought I want to have something special. So I thought, let's take out a really like historical product. I have chosen this really old embossing powder. This is the color Dusty Concord. Perhaps you know these. These are retired already, and if you have some, you are a really, really lucky person, as I am. I'm really happy that I could find some of these, believe it or not, in Rome during my last holiday there. I was a little bit scared about my suitcase during the trip because these have been in my suitcase, and I was like, if now someone would come and steal my suitcase, everything would be like, you know, not so important. But if this would have gotten lost, I would be, oh, you know. So I thought, I mean, look, this is an opaque powder, and it has some special features. I will talk about that in a second. If you don't have something like this, you could take normal embossing powder, of course, but have in mind that normal embossing powder, let's say you want to make this gold, yeah, then you could, of course, take a normal embossing powder, like this one, for example. But this is opaque as well. That means you would lose everything if you would put, I mean, from this here, if you would put embossing powder all over the whole surface. Perhaps you want, if you want to use this, have in mind that you put that only to several areas and leave some of the other areas free so that you get a really nice and distressed look. If you want to cover the whole thing, you could take embossing glaze, of course, because embossing glaze is translucent. I have taken embossing glaze in my German video for this frame, and I will show you in a second how that turned out. But I first want to do it with this powder because I want to see the difference by myself, yeah? And I don't want to destroy my own surprise, but I will show you that in a second. I had chosen Villainous Potion and Seedless Preserves. I ended with using only Villainous Potion because it was already like the color I wanted, because the pieces in the German video had also this purple frame here. But I thought, if we look at this, it's really close, isn't it? Color-wise, I mean. So let's do that. And of course, I want to have in mind that on the one hand, this is opaque, and on the other hand, it has these cool features. I really don't understand why this is retired. Tim, if you are watching, please explain that to me. It's so sad. It's just so sad. Because this powder, and it took me a long time, a really long time, to understand the feature of this product. I think the first embossing powders I bought have been these, and I didn't get it. But that's also because I bought those even without knowing Tim. Yeah, I realized that I have missed a lot, I would say the most of the history of distress. So we are celebrating 20 years, but I started junk journaling in 2017, and I think, I don't know, I have to check my Amazon account to see when I bought my first ink pad. So I want to have this really irregular, and I want to go around especially the edge here with my finger, so that this, what we have just made here with the sanding, comes through again and that we can see that. And I will emboss this, and then I will let that cool down completely. That is really important for the next step and for getting this effect that this powder can do. Oh no! What's happening here? Ah! Oh my goodness! What the heck? Can you see that? Of course, this is not what I was looking for. Just trying to get an idea why that happened. I think, oh my goodness, shit, what the heck? Holy cow, can I control this somehow, please? Ah. Help! Ah! Tim, please help me. What is this? It seems that there's a really thin layer of something on this package, and that layer, yeah, that is exactly what is happening here. There must be a really thin layer of, I think, a plastic stuff or something. And that is, can you see that? It's like melting. And with that, it's shrinking, I think is the English word. Can you see? That is not the powder. It is definitely not the powder. It wouldn't make these strange shapes. That must be something on the package, and I can also see the edge of that, and that the material which gets revealed there now looks totally different. Okay, so, but holy moly. Oh, here on the back we can see it. Ah yeah, here, look. Here you can see it even better. Can you see this little line there? That is the material that just came off, and here it looks totally different, and it also feels different. Look. Why haven't I taken the ideology package? Why? I want to tell you something. You know that I always record my videos in advance, and I am in a special situation of my life at the moment while I am doing this here for you. So that means for me it is the first week of April. I will try to melt this layer here without the powder to get rid of that before adding the embossing powder, sorry. And yesterday there was the live on Tim's channel where he has shown the Sizzix Fold 2 collection, and he has also shown the makes I have made for that release. And he said that, I mean about me, that I always use what I have and make the best out of that, what I have. And I just remember that sentence because it's just so close. Yeah, I've just heard it yesterday in the live. And I have to think about this here now because, yeah, that is so, you know, it's so contrasting. On the one hand, it's a really, really, really massive compliment. So, Tim, if you are watching, thank you very, very much for that. That means really a lot to me, because that is one of the main things I'm trying to do on my channel here. Always make the best of what you have at hand. But in this case, I can see the other side of this coin. Is that a saying in English as well? Hopefully. In German you could say that a coin has two sides, and they are really sometimes really contrasting. Do you know what I mean? And in this case I'm really thinking, what the heck am I doing here? And why the heck haven't I used the ideology packaging? Because I know that it would have worked on that just without any problems. So if you don't want to have such a shit on your table, I'm so sorry for that word, but then just take the ideology package or something else, or hold your heat tool to the packaging first and see what happens. And if there comes this little stuff off here. I mean, if we leave this here, I mean, could you see that it just went to the sewing there, and now it builds like a little edge there? I think that looks interesting. So perhaps we can leave it there, let it cool down, and then we can see if it wants to fall off or if it is sturdy. So I will try it again. Let's put this aside. Let's take the embossing ink again. I'm still laughing, but I really don't know if I will laugh in a second as well. Seems to work. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So now, when this is really, really cool, take your finger tool and go over this. You could also do that with a hard paintbrush, but this is a good peeling for your finger as well. And now we can remove some of these pieces. Can you see? And that makes a really, really distressed effect, and that is the feature of this embossing powder. What this does is that it gives you a really distressed look, and that you have now removed all of these pieces which have been not melted, because this powder is a mixture of some pieces that can melt and that are supposed to melt, and some don't melt, and those we can remove. And now we have them here on the table, and then we have a really interesting look. I think it's just the perfect color, but it is also a little bit unspectacular. Do you know what? I want to try something. I want to try to take the oxide spray frayed burlap. That looks really interesting. What if we take some gilding wax? And since we have a lot of black on the collage paper here, why don't we take some archival ink black soot and bring that around here. So now I am going to take these little guys here. You could of course also alternatively take some foam tape. So I'm just cutting these into the right size, and then I put them around here, and I will take 2 of these because I want to have a good distance between the frame, the top frame and this frame. And while that is drying, let's take the back cover and let's decide which photo we want to use in here. I think that a photo with sepia colors would look really, really nice here because of the other colors that we have in this frame here. This is also a little bit sepia, but even this would work. I think I want to take this one and this one. I want to have the frame on the back cover, not with these little guys here. Just like this. I will take this to my other table, put some heavy books on top to make sure that this can dry really well. And while this stuff is drying, I want to make something that makes this thing more interesting. I want to have a little word here, like Tim has on his project as well. Here you can see he has, for example, the word travel, or also this little sign here is a little bit raised, which makes this window more interesting, and you have some dimensional things in there, and I want to have something like that here for my frame as well. I think about the word love for this photo. This girl looks not so happy, but I think she knows that her mother loves her really, really much. With pressing these little stamps down to the paper, I also get like an automatical distressing around these letters, because as you can see, there's little dirt around, and that is good because then this is already distressed somehow. I think I want to have this here, so I take some foam squares. Same problem like with foam tape, but I want to have a distance here between these letters and the background. And then of course we need something for making the actual window and to close this shaker element later. And I thought, it's 20 years of distress, why don't we take an acetate that has holes? This is from Ideology, and obviously if I would take this, I will make this work, I promise. Obviously, if I take this and put this behind here, and then I put some tiny pieces in here, you know, to make this shakety shake thingy, then they would fall out here. But take this, take a second one, and normally, can you see the holes are in the same spot? Take that, turn that around. I'm so proud. Then you have this cool look of this thing here, but everything is closed at the same time. And when we then take this, we can easily use this for making this window thing, and we have these cool destroyed things here. We can still see the photo and nothing can fall out later. That is cool, isn't it? Thank me later. Perhaps there are other people who have already done that. I have never seen that before. I've discovered this idea yesterday for the German video, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is genius. But perhaps you like this as well. I put some double-sided tape here, then the first acetate, a next round of double-sided tape, and the second acetate. And I can only recommend to do this like I do it here, and not like I did it in the German video. Perhaps you have watched that as well, and perhaps you were confused why I left some obviously bad words in that video. I was really close to freaking out, to be honest. Off camera, I did freak out. And that was because I have glued the acetate and these little wooden pieces here in one step with liquid glue, and I didn't realize that obviously the layers moved while the glue was drying, and then I had the problem that my frame was wonky when the glue had dried, and additionally, holy cow, the wooden pieces here were visible here on the side. I had to repair that then with a little trick, because everything was completely dry and sturdy and, you know, attached to each other. So I thought it's way better to do it like this. I will in a second show you the piece from the German video, and I will also show you how I solved that problem. If you don't want to see the finished result from the German video, then please close your eyes now. If you perhaps are like, you know, I don't want to see it yet, I want to craft along or whatever, close your eyes. This is the result from the German video, and as you probably can see here, it's completely wonky, and here was the spot where the wood has peeked out. I solved this problem by adding some Distress grid paste crypt here to these areas, because here you can still see it here, a little bit of the wood is peeking out here because it got wonky while it was drying. But I think this is okay now, and I also added some bouquet flowers here and this little button to make this like, you know, it is still wonky, but you can't see the wood here anymore. I just wanted to hide this mistake. And why am I showing you this? The first reason is, please don't make the mistakes I make here. Please choose your own mistakes and make them. And the other reason is, here I wanted to show you this because here I have used the Distress Embossing Glaze Villainous Potion. I have embossed an Ideology package, so, you know, You've just seen the catastrophe with this material. So with the ideology packaging, it worked really well. And after I had applied this, I remelted the embossing glaze, and I've added a tiny little bit of this, made that stick to the glaze, and then I melted it again so that then these little pieces here now sit in the glaze, so that we have a way more intense look of this. It's also glossy compared to this, and I think that makes a big difference, and it's like two different versions of the same idea. So I want to make sure that this is really completely dry so that nothing can happen now anymore. I have a few of the golden ones from the other thing left over. Oh yes. Oh yes, yes, yes. And I think that looks really nice, but I want to try to take these sequences. I will also put some heavy books on here so that it can dry. So the back piece is already dry, so let's take this as a reference for the size of this little accordion that is in between of the cover pieces. I have these Tim Holtz papers, and by coincidence they have the right size. I want to have 1/4 inch distance here and also here on the top, so that the pages are smaller than the cover is, and this is by coincidence the right size. So I will take this, and I now know if here is 1/4 inch and there I need 2/4 here, because one for here and one for there, so that I then can take this little thing here, and now I want to just fold this. This paper is a little wonky because when I used the rest of this paper pad, I didn't need so accurate measurements, but I don't care about that. My accordion will get a little wonky as well, but that is nice, I think. So now I'm taking this and I look here where the next fold has to be. Fold it like this, and after I had this folded like so, I take this and fold it to the other side, and you can already see that this is now not a full page, but we don't freak out. I take another paper that I like, color-wise, and then I take some double-sided tape, or alternatively some glue, and I just connect these. This should be good. You could take some ink, of course, and ink these, but I want to have a white edge, and because of that I go in here and I just tear randomly. Then I take some scissors, I go over here like this to make this edge even more white and distressed. So now when we have that, we want to have some pockets in here as well. Now I want to just tear this off. I tear towards myself so that I get this nice and white edge here. Then I take some glue just to hold it in place here for a moment, because I want to take this to my sewing machine in a second and sew the pockets on. If you don't want to do that, then please make sure that you glue everything. And what I really like about sewing in combination with junk journaling is that you can use the sewing for some kind of distressing as well. Of course, you could ink all of this, but I really like this, this simplicity of this, because I don't feel the need of ink here at the moment. And I think the easiest way to get this into the right position is to stand up from your chair so that you can see from, a better angle to this. And then you can just take this whole thing, and let's then turn it around and take the other piece and put that on here. And I'm really excited what Nicole has done with this idea and how her project turned out. If you want to see that as well, make sure to check out her video. The link is down below in the description box. No, they need to go like this. Okay, I will make them shorter, and then I will glue them into the clip so that that can hold really well. And then I found another clip. That is this one here. This is somehow a junkolosity as well, because I got this in a Happy Mail ages ago, and I find this kind of clip so interesting. I can't find these in my area here, so I have hoarded this. But now look how cool that fits. Life is about creating yourself. Look what I found. It's perhaps a little long, isn't it? I mean, that is unproportional. Let's do it like, oh, that is better. Let's do it like this. Let's take this little thing and a bulb pin, and let's just try to hang this here. That is really cool. I want to have some golden splatters on here. I think that could look nice. I'm going to take some tarnished brass distress paint for that. Okay, so this is dry. Yes, wonderful. So let's take this and let's fill this little cutie with some photos. I think I want to also put some photos in here which are not portraits, to kind of tell a story about this little girl and her mother. So perhaps this is her sister, this is her dad, and this is the area where they live. Why not? So let's put her dad in here. Let's see, what else do I have here? Look at this. Perhaps this is the little girl at a younger age. I mean, no, this could be the same woman like here, but even if not, even if I'm sure that this is not the same woman like on the cover, but that is not important, because in my eyes the storytelling with those photos works even if they are not really the same people. Do you know what I mean? I think we could put this in here as well. It has some mountains, and perhaps this was at the wedding day of the parents of the little girl. And I really like that the photos are peeking out there. That is really cool. Oh, this is the church where they got married. And she also has a brother. So let's put him in here. I really like this. And I really like the possibility that I can do here a lot more things, like writing, adding tiny collages, throwing some ink on, or whatever. I really like this. Yeah, it's so versatile. But this is peeking out really much. I don't like, I like that it peeks out, but I don't like this back. Let's try. Here's another photo of the marriage of her parents. Let's try to take this and put that the other way around into this pocket as well. Can that fit? Yes. So that then we have this here on the outside shown, and I think that looks way better than this white stuff, or off-white stuff. it even brings a nice addition to this black here on the cover. That is nice. Okay, where is my, oh, here. Then I would say this is my finished project for today. If you want to see what Nicole at Nature Spirit Journals has created, then please check out her video. The link is down below in the description box. Oh my goodness, I have to put some golden splatters on here as well. Otherwise, that looks really weird. But that doesn't matter. Go and hop to Nicole's channel and watch her video while I'm splattering to the back here. And enjoy her video as well. See you the next time and have a very great and creative day. Bye-bye.
Boah, ey.
Was hast du denn da drin gehabt?
Oh. Also ich will Sie das nicht aufopfern für Zuschauer. Du wartest ein bisschen, bis es ein bisschen zerstört. Soll ich vielleicht... Warte mal. Ich mach das schon mal ein bisschen kaputt.
Alles gleichzeitig.
Das ist nicht mehr so ganz... Ja, das dauert ja 3 Stunden, bis das dann so aussieht.